excited. I don't want WNBA to mess this up because I am so excited with the wave of players that's about to come in.
They do really need to
agree.
fix their schedule. They need to let these girls practice and have actual professional like training camp and practice. Like they have, because that's what I was kind of going at for. Like the product could be, that's been part of the issue why a lot of people haven't tuned is because the product hasn't been like that great.
I agree. Yeah. I agree with you, Flash. And the product intercedes at a time where the NBA is gonna probably have the most eyes on it. The playoffs and the finals. When listen, and the thing is, basketball has become so key, especially with the national media, that by the time that the NBA draft comes around, and by the time that summer league comes around, especially if the prospects that's coming in next year start to live up to promise, then you're gonna have WNBA games like intersect with summer league games. And the thing is we all like as we've been NBA fans for a long time. We all gonna want to see who's the next best thing coming out of the draft or out of the combine and the summer league and all of that stuff. So the thing is, I think that's definitely going to be a challenge for the WNBA to definitely work on that scheduling. Definitely try to get a lot of these women proper training and everything. And I think the WNBA is still in early stages. Even though it's been out for 25 years, but I think it's still in the early stages of really noticing that they got a meal ticket and they could really hit a gold mine here. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, if they kind of like put a little bit of space, we're in the dog days of summer right now after the finals.
Yeah.
Yes,
and
we are.
If you make this more of like a training camp or preseason, and then right when the finals is about to end, kind of roll into the beginning of the regular season, they could literally own everything up until
August
preseason football.
At least up until August, because you ain't owning. I hate to say this live, but I'm gonna just be real. Ain't no sport owning shit during August in the
no, it's not.
No.
And I hate to curse on this platform. Y'all know I don't like to curse, but ain't no sport holding shit after August. You might well just hang it up.
But they could own.
No argument for me.
They could own like late July to like late August.
To like late August, yeah.
They could own that section. Yep. Like I'm telling you, I would just a little bit of gap between the end of the tournament and then whatever, or if you want players like just have the draft right afterwards, have like a 3-week gap, like a month gap maybe, and then just or have it like to have that be training camp, and then they could, and what they could do is during the NBA finals, the NBA could advertise that the start of the start of the WNBA is going to start to happen. You could advertise all the new players coming up. So you have a gazillion eyeballs on it already, and then people get amped up and hyped up for that. Because you can advertise, it's
you know what, Flash, bro? I think you got the right idea, but in terms of the plan to put this together, we got to remember, Champ, what season is it right now?
Baseball
outside season. No. What season is it outdoors right now?
Well, it's the summer.
It's the summertime. Yes, it is.
Hot girl, hot boy summer, hot girl summer.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get started on those sundresses again, because then we're gonna go off.
I was gonna say that, but since you brought it up, but in all seriousness,
but I think
ain't nothing wrong with getting some barbecue and sitting down watching the WNBA game. I mean, it's only so much that you can do during the summer. I'm just gonna be real. It's hot as hell, and sometimes you do want to sit down and have you a good brew and watch some good women's basketball. I mean, and if you really want to be honest with you, baseball, I love baseball, love my Braves, but they're not drawing no ratings like that right about now. They're not. Absolutely. You're not going to be drawing no ratings to like late October, early September. You're not. Absolutely. So this is the perfect time to capitalize. So
I think it is the perfect time to capitalize, but I think, as you said a couple of minutes ago, once it hit August, and you ain't made the money that you was supposed to make, you might as well forget about it.
After that.
You ain't doing nothing that, because I think, listen, the NFL is the biggest money maker at a time where everybody is in the house.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We talking about once we get to Thanksgiving, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. We all win the kids. It don't matter where you are in this country, you are in that house.
Exactly. But speaking of basketball, man, we're gonna make this a quick segment because you know what, man? We all know who's in the finals. We all know who's in the final. The Boston Celtics, and the Dallas Mavericks, Kyrie and Luka versus Tatum and Brown. So we're gonna make this a quick segment, man, and we're gonna start off with Leaf. Who wins and how many games is it gonna take? We're gonna do this quick now.
I got Dallas in 5.
Damn. Damn. Well, I'm definitely clipping that.
Good Lord.
I'm definitely clipping that. You know what? We've already been through this on another show. Let's not, we already know what it is. But Flash, how many games? Who taking it all?
All right. If KP is healthy and plays the whole series and is healthy, I think it's Boston in 6. I think if he's not healthy, I think it's Dallas in 7.
Oh, okay.
I think he matters to this series that much. Not only to his rim protection, but the thing that we've talked about with, like I heard on, I don't know who shows up. Who was the guy that called Brown and Tatum 2 Scottie Pippins?
That's the guy right there. Right
there. Dude, that was awesome. I died. I was at my desk and I was like, I just started dying laughing. I was like, oh no.
And people misinterpret what I miss about 2 Scottie Pippins. I mean, there are 2 betas, they are 2 bottoms. That's it's plain and simple. When they get in front of better competition, we gonna see Dallas in 5. I ain't saying it no more.
The thing where I disagree is I think KP. That's what that's why KP matters so much. Is when those 2 stall out, people forget how good KP is, and he can get them buckets when those 2, freeze in the cold water essentially, and not to mention the rim protection that he provides. It just that's to me that's the big X factor is KP. And so, I love that those Scottie Pippins. That was hilarious. That was great.
Hey man, that was a good one, man. That was a real good one. But when it comes to Jason Tatum, man, you got something to prove this year. You better prove it. Otherwise,
he's got to show.
He got to show up.
He's not a Scottie, for lack of a better term. This is it. We kind of talked about it last week. This is it. This is it. If he doesn't do it this time, then
it's real simple, Flash. All he need to do is show up and get his rear end kicked. That's it. That's all he need to do. Dallas in 5.
Wow. I love Luka, don't get me wrong, and I love Kyrie.
5? Damn.
But 5?
5?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Fatal 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5.
Yes.
Wow.
Frank, what you got, man?
All right. So I've already underestimated the Mavericks to get to the final, so I definitely got to get them props for getting there because they really, when it came down to the Western Conference side of the playoffs, every team they went up against, they made them play their game, and they just couldn't do it. Boston, I don't know. This is what I'll say. I'm picking Boston. And I know we're talking about if KP plays, Boston's winning this in 5 games. I think Boston's winning this in 5 games if KP plays. Just because I feel from the standpoint of It's one thing to go up against a guy like Karl Anthony Towns, who's like a really great 3-point shooter, but not necessarily the greatest as far as like the interior post, his interior game, and it's not the best interior post defender. KP's like that. Interior, outside, like his interior game, his outside game, being able to rim protect and all that. When KP's on his game, he's like that. And there is nobody in Dallas. There's not a soul on the Dallas Mavericks roster that can do anything with him from a defensive perspective as far as trying to play him. Dallas has nobody. So if KP plays, they win in 5. But even still, I think Boston is still I still think they're the deeper team, particularly out on the perimeter with the guards. You got guys like Drew Holiday, you got guys like Derek White, and even still, and then you got guys like Peyton Pritchard coming off the bench, giving you good minutes off the bench. And I just feel like if Jason Tatum's going to do it, here you go. I mean, it's laid out for you right there. You're the favorites in this. You're the favorites in this series. I mean, you pretty much got everything lined up for you to do it. You have to be the reason Boston win this series. I feel like this shouldn't be one of those. The bench kind of helps get you there. You have to get them there. This is on you now. Even with Jaylen Brown on the squad, who earned every bit of that Eastern Conference Finals MVP the way he balled out in that series. But even still, Jason Tatum has to take him there. This has to be his series. He has to be the reason they win this series. Even if they win the series, if he doesn't play well, I'm gonna just look at you like, oh, okay, never, okay. So you're supposed to be this top. You're supposed to be this top 6, 7, 8 player. Even when you win the finals, you still don't really, do your best. So I am going I'm going Boston in 6 because I still feel like top to bottom they are the deeper team. I just feel like they have more and can do more with what they have on the floor. Now, I will say this about the Dallas Mavericks. If you're Boston, if Luka and Kyrie does not scare you in pressure moments, you playing yourself. Luka and Kyrie, I feel like can do some evil things to Boston if they let up any in this series. They can do some evil things to the Boston Celtics because those boys, and especially with Kyrie, this is a revenge series for Kyrie going up against Boston. You don't think he ain't gonna be ready for this? Luka's first finals. You don't think he ain't gonna be ready for this? Them boys finna come on. They finna come out ready to ball. They really are. But can the rest of the team, can the supporting cast do this against the Boston Celtics? This is where I pick Boston to win because I feel like Boston supporting cast trumps Dallas's. This is where I think Boston wins it. Their supporting cast is better, in my opinion, than Dallas's. But Jason Tatum has to be the reason they win this series. Point blank, period.
I'll say this. I think Boston's the easy pick. But when I pick Boston, even if KP plays and he's healthy, it doesn't make me feel good to pick Boston.
I cringe picking Boston because of what Dallas is capable of.
I'm gonna tell you why it don't make you feel good. Because first off, he's playing with a calf injury, and the Dallas Mavericks bigs, bro, they don't mess around. They get up and down the court. They're very active. They active defensively. They active around the rim. They active on the boards. And the thing is, two things I don't play with in basketball: heart and calf. Because a heart, bro, anything can happen. And we all know the story about the late great Hank Gathers. In the terms of a calf, that can lead to Achilles, and you can lose the player for a whole nother year, a la Kevin Durant, who sat out the next year after the Warriors lost to Toronto. So the reality is this: the Boston Celtics, bro, like everything that you said about Tatum and Brown, they have to prove that they can hang with Luka and Kyrie. They have to prove it. There ain't no hiding behind Derek White. Ain't no hiding behind Drew Holiday. Ain't no hiding behind Al Horford. Ain't no hiding behind Pritchard or Sam Hauser. None of them dudes. They have to prove that they can stand toe to toe, man to man, point for point, bucket for bucket, moment for moment with Luka and Kyrie. Because I think Luka and Kyrie is ready for every minute of this. Second, the thing is, they need to not get into a close game with the Dallas Mavericks.
No.
Because if you get into a close game with the Dallas Mavericks, you basically asking for a Luka moment. You basically asking for a Kyrie moment. So they don't need to do that neither. Third, for the Dallas side, if I'm Jason Kidd, I'm turning Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown into playmakers. I'm turning them into passers. Show me that y'all can make sound decisions and top tier level decisions as playmakers out of double teams when the defense starts shifting and when they start moving around and bending the passing lanes. Show me that y'all can beat us inside the 3-point line, because I don't think they could out in terms if they can't get anything out on the 3 and Dallas starts to cut that off. Now you turn it into a twos game, and now you got Luka, Kyrie, and you got lob threats. That's basically what you got.
Hey, as far as who winning the game, look, the odds are stacked for Boston. And this will probably be the first biased take that I ever have in my entire life. I never cheer for Boston.
Ever.
I would never cheer for Boston. I'm a diehard Lakers fan. I would never cheer for Boston.
Ever. Say it again, champ.
So Dallas in 5.
Dallas in 5, champ.
Dallas in 5.
Dallas in 5, champ.
Now I know Boston gonna win this series. We got biased opinions on this set. I know Boston winning this series now.
He said, "Now I know Boston gonna win."
Now I know Boston gonna win this series.
Look, we've been talking about basketball this, basketball that. Jordan, Magic, Angel Reese, and Caitlin. Boston. We talk about Luka. But let's get into that pigskin because we only got 90 days before it come back. 90 good days before.
That's it? 90 days? That's it?
90 good days. And quite frankly, I can't wait. Which brings me to my next. Yeah, 90 days, man. I keep track of it on the calendar. Right above my television screen. From the time the season ends to the time it get ready to begin. I watch every game. So, I mean,
some good old foosball like Bobby Boucher.
Yeah, good old foosball. So, hey, man, with this year coming up, man, I ask myself this, and I'm going to go first on this. Who has the most to prove this year? And it's only one correct answer in my book, and that's Deshaun Watson. Because the thing is, you got a hefty contract. You have arguably one of the most talented teams in the league at this point. Nick Chubb is coming back. And if you don't believe he has anything to prove, look at what Joe Flacco did with that team. Now, people can always say he went 5-1, but his stats and his play was not that incredible until that last drive against the Baltimore Ravens. Let's just be clear. I don't even think he averaged 250 yards a game during that entire run where he went 5-1. It seems like the minute that Joe Flacco took that field, that offense was a completely different team. And God forbid if Nick Chubb would have been there, that would have been a completely different story because he would have had Nick Chubb to take some of the pressure off of him in the passing game. So when you talk about who has the most to prove this year in the NFL, to me, it has to be Deshaun Watson because you got a mulligan doing your first year because of that suspension. Mulligan. Second year, your first year back full time. Okay. Third year, not only did you struggle, but you got hurt as well. You got struggled, but you got hurt as well. Now we're going into year 4. You got one more year before that contract expired if you want to get another one. So, and plus you got the most guaranteed money in NFL history. You got a fully guaranteed contract. One of the first and only quarterbacks to do that. So you have the most to prove than anybody. You have a talented team. It's not like a lot of other quarterbacks where you are coming into a team with no talent. You have a very talented team. And you have one of the best defensive players, arguably, in modern day time. If you really want, in Myles Garrett, in that defense. And if you really want me to give a comparison, I compare Myles Garrett to Ricky Jackson. And if y'all don't know who Ricky Jackson is, Ricky Jackson from the Dome Patrol down there in New Orleans, his stats doesn't necessarily knock your socks off. But when you look at the impact that he has on the game, then you see how he affects the game. And that is why I will always compare Myles Garrett to Ricky Jackson because they are so similar. All that power. He can beat you with power. He can beat you with speed. He's a disruptor out of the you-know-what, and he can pretty much take over a game and seal the edge. And he's the most double-team player in the NFL right about now. So you have a good defense. You have pieces on that offense. They had a good draft. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what Jared Jeudy is going to do for you opposite Amari Cooper on that offensive side of the ball. Because guess what? I don't blame Jared Jeudy for some of his failures. Granted, I think he handled that Steve Smith situation a little bit immaturely, but I have not yet seen him play with a world beater quarterback. You know, people can say this all day. There's not a lot of Larry Fitzgeralds around. There's not a lot of Randy Mosses around. There's not a lot of T.O.s around. There's not a lot of those guys around. Well, I'd even put Chris Carter and D-Hop in that conversation. Those 5 guys are the 5 guys that I've seen that can play with me at the quarterback position right now and still get 1,000 yards. And that's just the gospel. I dick and dunk the whole game and they can get 1,000 yards a season because the thing is they're just that otherworldly. But a lot of quarterbacks, a lot of wide receivers cannot succeed with mediocre quarterbacks. So it's going to be interesting to see what Jared Jeudy does with now that he's not the number 1 target. He's opposite of Amari Cooper. And it looks like if Nick Chubb comes back in time, which he did it before he did it before he'll do it again. We saw it at Georgia. If they're going to make the focal point the running game now. So you have all this talent. You have a good defense. Your team is getting healthy. I mean, some of the guys, you don't have a real quarterback other than opposite Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow. You're really not competing with anybody other than those 2 guys. Pittsburgh don't really have a quarterback like that. So if you don't at least make the playoff, it's a done data for you in the NFL. You have to at least make the playoffs and win at least 1 or 2 playoff games. Anything other than that is uncivilized at this point. It's unacceptable. But on that note, I'll let Frank go, man. Go
ahead. Okay. So I have been saying Aaron Rodgers for the longest time, coming back from injury, being with the Jets, having now a competent set of offensive weapons there. But recent developments is going to have me change a pick on this one. And I'm going to kind of piggyback off of what you were talking about, Champ, with the whole there's only a handful of wide receivers who can play with any quarterback and put up yards. I think it's Justin Jefferson. I think Justin Jefferson has the most to prove this year because we don't know who the hell this quarterback is going to be this year. So it's like Devontae Adams went to the Raiders, has had not the greatest quarterback play, has still been Devontae Adams, regardless of what you think. He's still been Devontae Adams. I mean, Tyreek Hill had Patrick Mahomes, best quarterback in the league. Goes to Miami. Granted, Tua is a good quarterback, but he's nowhere near Patrick Mahomes level, and is still putting up ridiculous numbers. So he's shown he could downgrade a quarterback and still put up numbers. Justin Jefferson. Say what you want about Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins over the last few years has been in the conversation as, top 10, borderline top 10 quarterback in the league, has put up great numbers, and Justin Jefferson's been one of the biggest beneficiaries of that. Mm-hmm. So I think Justin Jefferson, if he really wants to be in that, if he's in that upper echelon of being the elite of the elite wide receivers, like a lot of us feel we are, can he go out and still put up numbers having a quarterback who's not going to be as good as what he's used to having Kirk Cousins in Minnesota? I think, and especially getting that new contract, 4 years, $140 million, especially getting that new contract as well. So I think now the ball is in Justin Jefferson's court to show that he truly belongs top 3, top 4 conversation wide receivers in the league. Because like I said, Devontae Adams putting up numbers in Vegas, having horrible quarter. Oh, Lord, of course he puts up the Packers hat. Putting up, yeah. I mean, he leaves Aaron Rodgers, he goes to Vegas, still putting up numbers. Tyreek Hill leaves KC, go to Miami, put up numbers. Justin Jefferson is in this supposed to be in this tier. What can he do not having a good quarterback this year? I think recent developments has got me shifting on. I think Justin Jefferson has the most proved this year.
All right. Flash.
First, a Leaf. You ever been to Lambeau?
I haven't. I'm supposed to go to Green Bay because they're having a draft next year. I gotta start getting tickets early. I gotta a couple of Packers fans. It's gonna be me and like 2 other Packers fans. I'm gonna meet up with some Giants fans over there. I don't despise the Giants. All right, I just think it's funny. I got an idea of why you do. It says it's all written on your hat. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah. Well, I was gonna let you know if you want to go to a Packer game this fall. Let me know because I got season tickets.
Oh, nice, cool, so, man. I just got to find my way to Wisconsin, man, because I still haven't been. The closest I've been to Wisconsin is probably I had a layover flight in Detroit. So
yeah, okay. If you can get here, I'll take you to a game, dude.
Appreciate it. But I'll definitely make my way, man. I've been a Packer fan since '95. I got to make my way to at least one game, man. Definitely. I'm gonna try to get to one of them cold ones too.
I got you. I'll show you how to dress.
Yeah. I got the gold drip and everything. I got the cheese. I got all my fits over here, man. I got my Packers. My girlfriend got me this Packers pullover right here. Of course, man. I got the hat. I got the pants somewhere up in here, man. I'll find them. But yeah, I definitely got a whole
line. Looking like MC Hammer, ain't you damn?
Yeah.
Whoa, what?
That's a good one, Tim. He said he looking like MC Hammer.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely, man. Appreciate it, Flash.
Yeah, no problem, dude. I love taking dudes to their first game at Lambeau. It's especially if you're a Packer fan, you've never been to one. It's a cool experience. I don't think there's any stadium like it. So even though they've kind of redone the outside and it's not like as well, there's a stadium in the middle of a little suburb anymore. It's still like that, but not as much as it used to be. Because I've been going to games since I was 8 years old, and so yeah, it's been they've been in my family since the '60s. So
you've been to
no Mercedes-Benz stadium.
What? No.
It ain't nothing like that. No. It ain't nothing like that. Listen, hand to God, man. My parents went to a concert down there, and they seen it. It wasn't to a football game. I think they went to a concert down there, and they said that stadium was absolutely gorgeous. You know what I'm saying? Like this is beautiful. Have you been to a game in Foxborough?
Yeah, 2. I was actually at the 2013 Manning versus Brady, where the Broncos scored 0-0 at halftime, and Brady and the Patriots came back.
That was a good one. I despise everything Tom Brady stands for, but I mean that was a good game.
And then I was at the home opener, the last Brady's last year in New England. I was at that home opener on Sunday night or Monday night, or no, that was the opener. So it was Thursday.
I got a funny story.
Thursday night game. It was Brady's last really good game in New England. They played Pittsburgh and just smoked them.
I got a funny story for you. So my dad, he been a Jets fan all his life. Yeah. So he been a fan since he's 60 years old. He's 60 years old, and he was around when the Jets won their first and last championship. So he been a Jets fan. So we go to a game, right? The Jets. I think that was the year that they either had Sam Darnold or at quarterback, and that was like a week before he caught mono, and Patriots fans start flooding the building. I'm so serious. Almost every one of them had on 28-3 shirts on. Champ, you're going to hate this. They had on 28-3 shirts on. And on the back, they had 34 to 28. I got 34 to 31 shirts.
I think one of my first interactions with Champ, it's got to be like a couple of years ago now. I think I apologized in the comments section for that. For that Super Bowl, I was like,
yeah. I mean, it's a punchline. No, that wasn't the best memory I had of Flash, man. best memory I have of Flash, man, is you know a video about to break up the Jay Cardigan video. That was the funniest.
That one.
Yeah, that was the funniest thing ever. Because the guy was saying, "Hey man, which wrestling star would you risk it all for?" And I moved out of the way. I said, "There's only one correct answer to be showing Jay Cardigan." But hey, let's get back to this PH game, man.
Okay, let me. Yeah, I'll get. Okay, so I'm going a little bit of a different route here. I had a list of players and actually a couple of coaches that I wanted to touch on who has the most to prove. And I'm going to go a completely different round and not even do any of those. It's the league and the refs. They have the most to prove. After making that stupid drop tackle rule, how are they going to call this? Are you going to literally ruin the game? Are you going to ruin the physicality of what is the most beloved sport in America right now? Are you going to basically make what I said when that rule was put through? Are you going to ruin? Are we going to have to put an asterisk after every offensive record now? Are we going to have to put an asterisk by Super Bowl championships now because you've tilted the favor to the offense so much because of a stupid rule? Because two guys hurt their ankles. They need to prove, in my opinion, that they're not going to allow that rule to ruin the game. So the league and the refs have the most to prove. And honestly, I think the refs, after the last couple of years in general, they have a lot to prove going into this season. And now with this new added rule, so what are you going to do, league? Are you going to, that's my big take. Are you gonna make this league? Is this going to be football, or are we like what I know Champ mentioned it too when that rule was enacted? Are we going to go to flag football? Are we on our way to that, which nobody wants, including the players? So that's who's got the most to prove. It's the league and the refs.
All right, I have to ask you this, man. I've been waiting to ask somebody this question. Do you think this? Look, let's just be real about this. Last year was one of the most mid-years for quarterbacks and offense that we've seen. Usually we see lighted up offense every single year. We see it. We've seen 5,000 yards passing. We see offense out of the behind. Do you think them implementing that rule was a direct response to defense, arguably? Because this was arguably one of the best defensive years you ever want to see. One of the best defensive, and it seems like the defense have finally caught up to the offense at a certain point. Do you think that was a direct response of, the defense finally catching up to the offense? And I'm like, okay, we got to even the playing field because we don't want to end up with these defensive games that we did back in the 80s and the 90s that everybody loved, by the way, but the casual fans enjoy scoring. Do you think that's in response to that hip drop?
I think it could be. I think anytime that you have a league with Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, the list goes on and on and on. And you have the year that they just came off of collectively at the quarterback position, which I gave it a C minus to be nice, to be honest with you, in terms of the overall quarterback play. Mm-hmm. I definitely think the rule had something to do with it, like Flash was talking about. But let's be honest, man. Defenses are going to catch up sooner or later. They're getting more athletic. They're getting more speedy. You got more speed linemen now. You got more speed linebackers, and you got more heavy hitting safeties. You got more versatile defensive players in this league. It's not like the old school where you just went all in on power and guys that could just lift you up off the line. I was watching the 30 for 30 Champ. You're gonna like this. It's called the Minister of Defense. Obviously, it's about the late great Packer great, Mr. Reggie White, and they talked about the move that he had where he basically used your center of gravity and just forearmed you one to a time and got to the quarterback. And he used that from 1980, what was it, 1986, 85, 86, all the way to 1998, 13 years, two different defensive players of the years for two different franchises. I don't think that's ever been done. So in reality, I think defenses is supposed to catch up with the offense. I don't think it's supposed to be an overlapping gap. And I think the NFL kind of saw that and kind of somewhat nipped it in the bud with that rule. But I don't think this is going to stop. I think defenses is going to continue to adjust, and they're going to continue to get more athletic. They're going to continue to catch up. It is what it is.
I hope so. I also think so. Champ, you made a video recently, last couple of days about. I think it was the last couple of days. I just watched. I think today actually about that the Brady, Big Ben, Rodgers, Manning era is the greatest quarterback era of all time.
Yeah, the 80s are a solid second.
Yeah, and the 80s. Yeah. So I look at this past year because I'm looking at the passing leaders. We still had 10 guys over 10,000 yards, or I'm sorry, at 10,000 yards, 10 guys over 4,000 yards passing. And so like the stats are still there. You know, I think Dak, we had Dak, Jordan Love, Brock Purdy, and Jared Goff all over 30 touchdown passes. I think why it seemed not as great is we're in a transition period from that era.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Manning's gone now. Brady just retired. Rodgers yeah, he's getting there. He's not what he used to be, and he's got a lot to prove this year. You know, we're seeing, you know, Mahomes is basically Mahomes and everybody else right now, but you do have guys on the rise. So, you know, you do have Josh Allen, you do have Jordan Love, you know, you do have, if you know, there still is Lamar Jackson, but I also think it's a different breed it's a different breed of quarterback now. Like look at Jalen Hurts, who's considered one of the better quarterbacks in the league now. He's not a typical drop back passer anymore. So we're seeing a different evolution of the game where quarterbacks are now becoming more consistent dual threats. And I think that's playing a part in it as well with the downtick of a little bit of the passing stats. But you still have guys like, you know, Trevor Lawrence needs to step up and get to where he's supposed to be. Justin Herbert, if this coaching takes him I refuse to say Los Angeles, San Diego, the San Diego Chargers. They're always going to be the San Diego Chargers. Anywho, he's got the stats and he's had the stats. Does he ascend to that level? So does that next crop that's under all the young guys under Mahomes, like kind of take that next step or two? Because it's there. We got CJ Stroud too. Do these guys now get to them like right under Mahomes level, and then you see all the stats go up? Because I don't think it's a defensive catching up thing. I just think we've seen a transition from literally the all-time greatest era of quarterbacks and those guys getting older and retiring to now the young guys kind of taking over. And yeah, the defenses have adjusted, but I don't know if it was an answer to the stats. I think it's a good theory, but I don't know. I think it's a more of a nuanced reason why we saw stats down a little bit.
You know what, and I think you made a good point with a lot of the dual threat quarterbacks I guess in some sort of way doing a little bit too much of everything, or trying to do a little bit too much of everything. But CJ Stroud was a breath of fresh air last year in terms of a guy that can stay in the pocket and have presence in the pocket as a rookie to do what he's done in that first year. And a lot of people believe that anybody could have filled that spot because all they needed was a quarterback. I watched the Texans the year before, and I'll be honest with you, I thought anybody could be okay, but not to that level.
Not like that.
No,
not like
that. And I think CJ Stroud, he blew the water, he blew the stratosphere off the roof in terms of what he can do in the pocket and in terms of what he did statistically.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I'm looking at which will now be the third Hall of Fame quarterback for the Green Bay Packers, Jordan Love. What he was able to do when the play calling was actually right and when he was actually handing the ball off to two, and not one, but two running backs in the backfield, and he was actually using that as well. So I think we're getting back to somewhat of the traditional style of quarterbacks just with those guys in general. but I think it's probably going to continue because you don't want these quarterbacks to just do a little bit of everything. Because even though Mahomes has basically maxed out with the what is it now? 3 Super Bowls in 6 years. Is it three? 3
Yeah,
Super Bowls. Am I right
years,
about
yeah.
3 Super Bowls in 6 years? I think he's maxed out what a dual quarterback is able to do without the traditional, the quote unquote traditional mechanics of a standstill quarterback and of a pocket presence quarterback. Because let's be honest, bro, like it's a lot of people. If you first look at Patrick Mahomes, you would swear this shit is backyard. Excuse me, you would swear it's backyard football. What he's doing, like if you just looked at him from first.
Yeah, he actually the way not a lot of people say this. Well, I want to make one more point too. Also, at the same time last year, Joe Burrow was hurt for most of the year too, so we were lacking another top flight quarterback.
Oh my god,
stats were down.
Oh my god,
but Mahomes plays a lot, a lot closer to what Brett Favre was. Brett Favre was that gunslinging backyard mentality, the way he would run around and throw the ball. And then when everybody says like, oh, we've never seen something like Patrick Mahomes before, go back and watch Brett Favre and watch how he played, and it felt a lot like it was backyard football.
Yes.
So I think there's just a transition from the old guard to the new guard, and I think that's why we're seeing that. But I still think that the league really needs to hammer home how they call this, because one, they left this real wide open in a really vague way of how this rule is going to be handled. That basically is just going to be up to the referees' discretion. And that, can you imagine like the Super Bowl versus the Rams and the Titans, and that tackle by Mike Jones at the goal line? Because that was a hip drop tackle.
Yes, it was.
Yes, it was.
Can you imagine?
That could have changed history.
If all of a sudden a yellow flag comes in and they just go, that first down at the 1 yard line. Nope, that's a hip drop tackle. Like
Eddie George runs in and we don't hear, and we only remember the greatest show on turf as a good team.
As a good team. We don't remember them as champions. Yep.
And
again,
I would have loved that because I love Steve McNair, but
I do too. But
Ed McNair was my guy, man. Rest in peace, man.
But that would have been in just a football sense a travesty if they would have, if that rule would have been in place and that flag would have been thrown. That would have been
I definitely get what you're saying, Flash.
And I don't want that to happen at all. And if it does happen, I'm going to blow a gasket, because I said it again. I need to see this. This is the first time in my lifetime I've ever gone, depending on how they call this penalty, I was almost like, you're ruining my game. You're ruining my passion. Well, almost to the point where like I wanted to protest and be like, you're taking this, you're effing with my childhood.
You're absolutely right. And Flash, while you speaking on it, but I'm gonna get on to my my most approved player before I go. I think you can't promote to the casuals the NFL the way you promote to the casuals with the NBA, because the thing is that like the NFL is not, it's not a house of highlights league. It's not it's not a let's go watch Sports Center and see what happened league. You got to watch the whole game. You have to watch the whole game from beginning and out. And that's not this. You got to do the same with basketball. But basketball, the NBA in particular, is oversaturated with the casuals. Look online. You see shorts every day of somebody get dunked on, somebody get crossed, this, that, and the third. I don't think that the NFL you can't continue to water it down. And at the same time, defenses are drafting now, and defenders are getting more athletic and more versatile to keep up with the dual threat quarterbacks. You can't continue to do that at the same time, because they're going to be like, "Yo, y'all handcuffing us, and y'all doing it blatantly." With that drop tackle rule, it's clearly blatantly, because now it's to the point like, "Yo, the defenses got better to at least do something about the dual quarterbacks." But yet you put handcuffs on them again. You put shackles on them again. with that rule. You know what I'm saying? And to get to my I guess to get to my most approved, damn, champ, you made a good point with Deshaun Watson. I ain't gonna lie to you, but I'm gonna have to go with all of the top AFC quarterbacks outside of Patrick Mahomes. Somebody got to step up and take the crown. Somebody got to step up and knock KC off. Listen, and I talked about this on PSP channel, PSP channel, and I said I watched Josh Allen play the game of his life a couple of years ago against Kansas City, and I knew he wasn't going to win that game. It was just something about Tyreek Hill and Patrick Mahomes at that time. You cannot leave nothing on that clock. Nothing. And I thought Josh Allen played the game of his life, and I'm pretty sure y'all all remember it. He was going back and forth with them with the last 2 minutes, and touchdown. They gave up one. Touchdown. They gave up one. The Buffalo Bills defense sold them that game. But ever since that game, you have had a rule change for you to go, and then you played the home game in Cincinnati. You blew that, and then this past year we all saw what happened. Josh Allen, yo, you on the clock. You are on the clock big time. Lamar Jackson, you are on the clock big time. 2 MVPs, and you can't make it out of the AFC. And you can't get out of the AFC. You on the clock as well. You probably the best talent at the dude quarterback outside of Patrick Mahomes. You gotta get it done, bro. And, Joe Burrow, you gotta prove that you're not a one-hit wonder. You gotta prove that yo, you got Jamar Chase, you got the weapons, you gotta prove that you can get out of the black and blue conference, which is the AFC North, and do something. Champ, you already spoke on Deshaun Watson, and I think another person that speak on that nobody's bringing up, Justin Herbert. 1 playoff game. That's all you got, bro. 1 playoff game, and now you got Jim Harbaugh as coach. What you gonna do? You got the numbers, you got everything. What you gonna do? What you gonna do? And that moves me to Tua. What you gonna do? You got the offense, you got the pieces. Somebody out of this pool of quarterbacks in the AFC has got to step up. They got it. Somebody has got to prove that yo, Mahomes ain't the only person in here. Somebody.
I like that. I'm not gonna lie. Speaking of teams and people to prove, we all know about the other team out of the NFC that everybody loves to talk about. They all love talking about the San Francisco 49ers. They love talking about the Dallas Cowboys, but they also love talking about the city of brotherly love and the Philadelphia Eagles and Jalen Hurts. So my question, quick, plain and simple, is a Super Bowl or bust for the Philadelphia Eagles at this point? I mean, quick question, quick answer. Let's start with you, Lee.
Bust. We have watched the Philadelphia Eagles last year go from a top team to the 2020 Pittsburgh Steelers in no time. This is bust. I'm not buying this at all. They too much stuff to refill on that roster. Bust. Get them out of here.
Flash.
No, I don't think it's Super Bowl or bust. I think that we've got, over the last 20 years or so, we've been spoiled. 25 years, we've been spoiled by Brady and Mahomes, and we think winning a Super Bowl is just easy now. I don't think it's a Super Bowl or bust. I think they're one of the better teams. I think right now it's Mahomes and the Chiefs and everybody else. So it's basically who gets a shot at them. So they're still going to be very competitive. They're still going to be one of the top teams in the NFC. Is it bust? No. I had a buddy say to me that what Brady did and Belichick did in New England almost ruined how special and hard it was to win a ring. And now Mahomes and Reed are kind of doing it too. And I don't think it's a Super Bowl or bust. You'd be silly to break up that team if they don't make it and you just we're just going to break it all up. I don't think, and especially the NFC, I don't think the gap between the top 3 teams in the NFC right now are basically, I would assume, top 4 teams, Green Bay, Detroit, San Francisco, and Philly. I don't think the gap between all 4 of those is that wide between where you just go, you guys, we lost in the divisional round to San Francisco. Let's just pack it in. So, no. Sorry, that was a little bit of a longer answer. I apologize.
Please don't bring that up. Please don't bring that up.
Frank, Super Bowl or bust for the Philadelphia Eagles, or you have other ideas?
No, I don't. I agree. The reason why I don't think it's Super Bowl or bust is because I feel like, I do agree with Flash. Your top 4 is basically them, Green Bay, San Francisco, and Detroit. But I feel like all 3 of those teams right now at this stage are better than the Philadelphia Eagles right now. So that's the reason why I don't think it's necessarily Super Bowl or bust. It'd be one thing if they were definitively the best team in the NFC, but you can make a case that the 4th out of those 4 teams in the NFC, you can kind of make a case for them. So it's like, I guess if you want to put them in front of anybody, possibly Green Bay, but that's it. So that's why I don't think it's necessarily Super Bowl. I don't think it's Super Bowl or bust because they're not the best team in the NFC, right? They're not the best team in the NFC. So, I mean, that's why I don't think it's Super Bowl or bust. I think San Francisco's better. I think Detroit's better. So, no, I don't think it's Super Bowl or bust.
Okay. Hey, I don't think it's Super Bowl or bust for him, man. I think that NFC's wide open right about now. NFC's wide open right about now. But they better get further than the second round, especially with the addition of Saquon Barkley.
I'm telling you right now, champ. Don't really expect nothing from the Philadelphia Eagles. Last year's fall off was by far one of the biggest. Like we talking about one of the biggest suicide dives in history. They started the season 11-1, and they did not look like an A+ team during that time at all.
Not to mention the turnovers that Jalen Hurts had going on. I think I brought that up during Brandon's show. Shout out to Brandon from the block, by the way. I brought that on Brandon's show because it was nasty last year. They was talking about Josh Allen last year and his turnover problem. Jalen Hurts was turning the ball over like Arby's on a Sunday evening. So, I mean, it was crazy how he was turning the ball over, but the media wasn't really giving him flack for that. But they was giving Josh Allen all type of hell for that. So, that was interesting, but with the additions that they made on this team on the offensive side of the ball, granted, you cannot replace Jason Kelce on the offensive line. You still have an all-star offensive line. You upgraded at the running back position as far as running backs. You went and got Saquon. You got weapons on this team. So, and you have a new offensive coordinator at this point in time.
What about the defense, champ? Come on.
The defense remains to be seen. But these young guys, look, they drafted those guys from Georgia for a reason. I will say that. So it's going to be interesting to see how they develop. But you know what? But there's this one subject, man.
What's up?
That's just been sticking in my craw the last few years. And I picked the perfect panel in order to talk about this.
This ought to be good.
The biggest injustice for the NFL MVP. What year did the wrong guy win? I'm going to go first. 1990 MVP race. Joe Montana, Randall Cunningham, Warren Moon.
Who won that?
Randall Cunningham or Warren Moon should have won that MVP. I understand that Joe Montana was the face of the league that year, but during that year, Randall Cunningham had passed for over 3,000 yards, had 30 touchdowns, and rushed for over 900 yards and 5 touchdowns on the ground.
Right.
Warren Moon threw for over 46,000 yards and threw for 33 touchdowns. Now, he won Offensive Player of the Year, but I think one of those guys should have won. Now, granted, Joe was the face of the league. He was coming off of a repeat. I mean, he was going for the three-peat during that year because that was the year of the three-peat. Everybody thought that was going to be the first team to three-peat, but I really feel like that either Warren Moon or Randall Cunningham should have won that year. That was the biggest injustice in MVP history for the NFL to me. But
right. What was Warren Moon numbers that year? You said.
Warren Moon's numbers. Let me go to it real quick because I had them up on my phone. Warren Moon that year had 4,689 yards, 33 touchdowns, 13 interceptions, and 200 yards on the ground.
God damn.
Randall Cunningham had 3,000, almost 3,000, had 3,446 yards, 30 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. Also had 945 yards on the ground and 5 touchdowns on the ground. Joe Montana that year had 3,900 yards, passing, 26 touchdowns, 16 interceptions.
Oh, hey, yeah, I'm gonna cut my camera off real quick. I'll be right back. I'll let y'all go, but I'll be back.
So I really feel like during that period of time that either Warren Moon or Randall Cunningham. So, like I said, I understand the logic of the NFL during that time. Joe's the face of the league. This is the most prolific offense we have seen. You have arguably the greatest. You coming off repeat championships. This is arguably the greatest team of all time. Jerry Rice is at his peak. You're at your peak. You just couldn't get a better team than the 90s 49ers. I understand. And that goes back to the NBA's, kind of narrative. Right. Is it really the best player or is it the best player on the best team? And that year, it was the best player on the best team, which was Joe Montana. Unfortunately, he got hurt at the end, which was the reason why.
Right. That was the year that he got hurt against the Giants, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, he got hurt that year, which I'm going to tell you this. People talk about if people talk about the Buffalo Bills during that time, they wasn't going to win anyway because they just better be glad Joe Montana didn't make it to the Super Bowl because they got blown out. So I'm just going to be real about
Buffalo had that game. Come on now.
No, I'm talking about Buffalo had that game. But the thing is, they should be glad that the 49ers didn't make it to the Super Bowl instead of the Giants. They would have got ran off the field. I'm just being honest.
Oh, that Niner team, that 89, 88, 89, 99, that Niner team was
spectacular. That was a well-oiled machine.
Go watch that. One of my guilty pleasures is watching that 89 Super Bowl between the Niners and the Broncos. And you think it wouldn't be entertaining, but so my big thing is quarterbacks over the years. Like that's what I love. That's the thing that I love. I've studied the position. I think that is one of the most perfect games ever played by a quarterback in any game ever, and that's Montana.
What did Elway do in that game? I forgot, man.
Absolutely nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
Absolutely. But go watch that, and Montana was just he that whole playoff run by him was
that Denver defense any good?
Yeah.
The thing is that
Denver defense was massive.
Yeah, that defense was great.
That's what makes it that much crazier.
Yeah, they had Rulon Jones, they had Carl Mecklenburg, they had Steve Atwater, they had Dennis Smith. They had a lot of great guys on that defensive side of the ball. Not to mention the narrative that and I will say this, the narrative that John Elway never had in their weapons is a myth.
Bobby Humphrey was a really good.
Humphrey was good.
And then not only that, remember the three amigos?
Yeah, Vance Johnson. Ricky
Vance was pretty good.
Ricky Smith,
Ricky Smith.
I don't remember Ricky, but I remember Vance. I remember Humphrey.
The whole narrative that he never had any weapons, that was a flat out myth. Because he had that defense.
The defense, did they have Atwater?
Yeah, Atwater, Rulon. Remember, that was his rookie year when he came out.
Right.
Yeah, when he came, after he had a hell of a rookie year.
It was Vance Johnson, Vance Johnson, Ricky Nattiel, and Mark Jackson.
Yeah, the three amigos.
Yeah, the three amigos.
Yeah.
No, he had talent. Like he had talent around him, and that was the Montana Elway thing was very much like the Brady Manning argument in the early years. Montana was winning the rings, but Elway was the more talented quarterback.
Right.
And so, but
I mean, the AFC at that time was like that was a crapshoot. Like who came out? I think if I remember, I think Cincinnati came out one year. Denver came out.
Was in that, yeah.
Denver came out. Not once or twice. I think New England, Miami. They had one with Dan Marino got the one, I believe. If I'm not
mistaken.
But
the thing is, back then, people don't realize this. Back in the 80s, the AFC was loaded with quarterbacks. You had Warren Moon, you had Warren Moon, you had Jim Kelly, Elway. Then you had your flash in the pan type quarterbacks and Boomer Esiason. Then you had Bernie Kosar, which was a hell of a quarterback. And you had a cornucopia of guys that could really get you there in the AFC. It's just
compared to this AFC, compared to this AFC, but like we talking about all the guys that we just mentioned. When you mentioned Deshaun Stevenson, Tua, Herbert, and I mean those some and talented in terms of the AFC back in the 80s. I think Elway, Marino, obviously Elmo Marino, all-time greats. Who else? In the AFC,
Jim Kelly.
Yeah, Jim Kelly.
Jim Kelly, all-time great.
And then for
all-time great.
For a while in the early 80s, you had Dan Fouts.
Dan Fouts. Dan Fouts was pretty good in his day. Boomer was the flash in the pan.
Ken O'Brien wasn't a bad quarterback with the Jets. Like he led
the league in passer rating.
Like that dude could go. There were some Miami.
My dad hates him, bro. He's like,
I understand why. He'll throw interception in a minute.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? but that dude could go but that dude, there were a lot of times where he could go toe to toe with Marino in the passing game. Like there were a couple games where they went head to head, and it was.
I believe you, but my dad vividly remembers when the Jets started 4-0, and Dan Marino hit him with the fake spike. Yeah, and then they lost every game after that.
Yeah, your poor
father. I can't even think of an MVP race off the top of my head. Damn. Oh man, Flash, you got one?
Yeah, I got one. I just brought him up. Dan Fouts. The 1982 NFL season that was shortened by a strike. A kicker, Mark Mosley, won the MVP when it should have been Dan Fouts in 1982.
What?
Yeah, that was the first last time a quicker run.
Yeah.
Let me get my other phone. Hold on. Wait a minute. Yeah. Wait a minute. Time out. Where the hell
now, don't get me wrong. Like I think the league only played 9 games.
A kicker,
Mark Mosley for the Washington Redskins. Yep.
Oh shit.
Washington Commanders.
I'm gonna say Washington. I'm gonna just say Washington. So
that's the biggest, in my opinion, the biggest travesty, because I think Dan Fouts had a great career, and
definitely,
and I think he deserved an MVP. Even though if you look back at his stats, they weren't that great, but it was they only played 9 games. My honorable mention, just because I have to bring it up, because it's my boy, Brady should have won the 2021 NFL MVP over Aaron Rodgers, hands down.
No.
Yeah. No. I didn't go over the stats.
No.
Absolutely.
No.
Go over the stats right now. So let's see. So they both had basically an even record. They both won 13 games that year. They had almost Rodgers had a 1 point better completions percentage at 68.9. Brady had over 1,200 yards more. They averaged basically the same yards per attempt. Brady averaged 312 yards per game. Rodgers had averaged 257. Brady had more touchdowns, a little bit more picks. Passer is a little bit even, was a little bit more by Rodgers, but also Brady did it at 44 years old. I'm sorry.
You know what?
Oh, okay. All right. You know what? Because listen. Somebody brought this up to me, and I had to think about it, because I know a lot of Brady fans for some odd reason. So he was like, yo, you got away with murder. Your boy got away with some murder, right? And obviously I'm a Packer fan. I'm like, bro, what are we talking about? We know Aaron Rodgers is the safe bet when it comes to MVP. In terms of making the safe throws and not making mistakes, at least for his Green Bay career, for the most part of it, bro. Like he was very good at that. He was very good at playing it safe. as opposed to Brett Favre, who would take more chances. And I think that's what made him arguably one of the most efficient rating quarterbacks probably of all time. And I think it went and once the QBR stat finally came into fruition, I think it benefited him more than anybody else. I mean, I appreciate what Brady had done at that age, but at that time, I think QBR was key. And a lot of the metric stats was key. And I think touchdowns and interceptions. I don't want to say it became an afterthought, but I think it took a backseat to QBR at especially the early portions of this decade in the late 2010s. You know, so I think that was more of a reason for why Aaron Rodgers does have more what is it? 4 MVPs, 4 regular season MVPs.
I think Rodgers deserved the one the year before. I just think the 2021 should have gone to Brady. I don't. He had better stats. He did it at 44 years old.
All right. we got a stat for how old you are.
He was doing things at that age that nobody had ever done. Like,
right. We got a stat for how old you are.
Flash. I love you, bro. But I'm not giving anything to anybody outside of. I see 37-4. No, I'm giving that. I'm giving. I mean, I get it, and trust me, because I get it. Tom Brady was putting up hella numbers that year. But if I see 37-4 and a touchdown interception ratio, no. No. I'm not giving it to anybody else but Aaron Rodgers that year. Nope. I see 37-4. I feel like that trumps so much. So
what are we talking about? Like
I'm sorry.
Like, who does that?
Yeah. I'm giving that to Aaron Rodgers. Hey, 43 touchdowns is killing. Don't get me wrong. But when I look at that, that interception ratio is just that tip. I'm sorry.
Flash in the regular season, he just didn't make mistakes like that. It was just if we're talking about a quarterback that maxed out a career, like where he made the least amount of mistakes and gave you the most as far as QBR and as far as everything else across the board. Aaron Rodgers checks all of that. He does. Listen, we can talk about his playoff blunders all we want, and take it from me, they well documented. But as far as the regular season goes, 37-4. Anybody over the age of 36? No, I'm sorry.
BRF, who you think, man?
All right, so. I might get a little flack for this, but I'm gonna put it out there anyway.
What's up?
Let's hear.
20. If I could make a legit case, I am a fan of Aaron Rodgers, but if I can make a case to where I would have given it to somebody else over him for MVP, it would have been 2014. I would have given it to JJ Watt that year. I would have given it.
I want to hear this. I want to hear this one.
20, bruh. The quarterbacks for the Houston Texans that year. You're looking at Case Keenum. You're looking at Ryan Fitzpatrick. I think Ryan Mallett played some year that year. Some for that squad. They went through 5-6 quarterbacks that year. Them boys still went 9-7. JJ Watt had 20.5 sacks. I'm talking about catching touchdowns. Had a pick 6. I'm talking about JJ. I mean, the defense was 7th in the league. With them sorry ass quarterbacks they had, they still finished 9-7, and JJ Watt was like out in front, the unquestioned leader of that defense. What he was doing, basically toting them to a 9-7 record. I mean, if I could make a case for any year, it would be 2014, and I would have given it to JJ Watt just for the sheer fact he made the Houston Texans relevant that year, putting up some of the numbers he put up in 2014. I can make a case for JJ Watt in 2014.
I think he wins that MVP I think he wins. The only reason he doesn't is because Justin Houston had more sacks that year.
Oh wow, right. I forgot about Justin Houston.
I forgot about it.
Yeah, Watt didn't win it. If Watt leads the league in sacks, I think he wins that MVP.
So Houston had how many that year? Like
Houston had 22?
Yeah, like
22 sacks.
Yeah, 22 sacks.
Yeah,
22. Okay.
Good God. You best player in the league. You be the best player in the league in sacks. I mean,
Justin Houston, underrated. Justin Houston, boy, underrated. Was a man among boys.
Very underrated. I'm a little bit mad that like he didn't turn into like he didn't have like an all-time great career. You know what I'm saying? Like he was definitely underrated for sure. BR, could you remind me what Aaron Rodgers did that year, 2014, since you bringing us up?
I think it was like 4,300, 38 touchdowns, 5 picks.
No, we serious.
And I think but still though, that's what I'm saying. If I'm looking at the term valuable, JJ Watt to Houston, just to even be in playoff contention for that long, this is where the value comes in.
I get what you're saying, but listen, I need to explain to y'all how spoiled I've been since 1995, man. Like I've had the luxury of watching this organization graduate 2 Hall of Fame all-time quarterbacks, 2 arguably top 10 quarterbacks of all time, and now it looked like we're working on a 3rd. Yeah. I tell you, man, listen, Aaron Rodgers, it was at a point where he was damn near throwing the ball out of bounds, and Jordy Nelson was catching shit anyway. I'm like, yo, come on, man. You know what are we doing here?
Another year, and I don't even. You know what? I'm a Falcons fan.
Oh boy!
But I gotta say it, champ. Say it.
Come on, champ.
That 2011 season, Drew Brees should have won that MVP.
I agree.
Who won it that year?
Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. All right. Oh, hold up. Wait a minute.
No, wait. This is Drew Brees' stats during that year. He had 5,476 yards, 46 touchdowns, led the league in passing yards per game with 342 a game, and then set the completion percentage record with 71.2. He led the league in every statistical category.
Honestly, here's the thing. It's only the only thing that Rodgers says is he throws like 6 picks.
He throws single-digit picks every time he wins an MVP.
I'm a Falcons fan. I'm a diehard Falcons fan, but I said Drew Brees got robbed that year.
Wait. If I'm not mistaken, we not only went 15-1 that season. If I'm not mistaken, he threw how many touchdowns did A-Rod throw that year?
45.
45 and 6, and how many yards?
4,600, and Brees had 5,400.
And 5,400. Brees had 5,400 yards.
If you're making the same argument for Brees, then it literally supports my argument for Brady. It's the same thing.
Wait. You mean to tell me y'all 3 up here, coincidentally, I'm a Packer fan, and y'all 3 picked the 3 arguments that Aaron Rodgers won all these.
Yo, it's like
you
damn MVP.
No, you can't. You can't. You can't. Look, you can't. 2021. I'm not. No, 2021. I'm not taking from Aaron Rodgers. But 2011 and 2014, you can't say aren't legitimate.
Come on, man.
So.
If the 2014 one is the same argument as the 2021 one. Now, look, I don't think it's like a slam dunk that it's the other guy for sure.
Yeah, it's just an injustice.
It's just
opinionated.
It's just I don't think it's like a I don't think it's like I think that
I feel like I'm
I'm not saying injustice. I'm just saying making cases. I don't think it's an injustice because I probably would have voted for him too.
This is a conspiracy to comprise to one of the greatest regular season quarterbacks of all time, man. Like somehow, some way, all three of y'all landed on 3 MVPs. Aaron Rodgers then got somehow, some way, where he threw not 4 interceptions one year, 5 interceptions another year, and 6 interceptions another year. What are we doing?
To be fair, I brought up the Dan Fouts one first.
Yeah, you did. I did. And Champ brought up the 1991. Yes, you did.
1990 MVP race.
Yeah. I have an honorable mention to get away from the Aaron Rodgers thing. I do have an honorable mention. I have an honorable mention. I have an honorable mention. 1998. I would have given it to Jamal Anderson over Randall Cunningham. That's just me. You can make a case. You can make a case.
You know what, Champ? Listen, I know why you did what you just did just now, but Randall Cunningham in Minnesota. Listen, come on now.
Jamal Anderson was all the hell we had.
If we're talking about the definition, look. This is I go back to the whole value thing.
Right.
We
got to talk about Randall too.
Randall was amazing that year. But look at the offense that man had. You had rookie all-time great rookie Randy Moss. You still had Chris Carter putting up ridiculous numbers. Jake Reed was your number 3. You had Robert Smith in the backfield. We can't and the offensive line was one of if not the best offensive lines in football. So I mean, it's not like the offense wasn't loaded. I'm just saying, look at the value.
Wait, are you saying that Randall should have won it?
Yeah, we beat him in the NFC Championship.
Yeah, we beat him.
Beat him out.
Wait, hold on. Wait, hold on. Are we saying that Randall should have won it that year?
No, Jamal Anderson.
I would have given it to Jamal Anderson if we're looking at the definition of value. Because look at the next year, 1999, Jamal Anderson gets hurt. What happens to the Atlanta Falcons?
He didn't win it that year. Cunningham didn't win it that year.
No, he won the Associated Press Award.
He
won the Associated Press Award. The person who won it was Terrell Davis.
Yeah, Terrell Davis.
Randall Cunningham, he won the Associated Press Award.
Okay. I was confused.
But if I'm looking at Terrell Davis won it that year. But if I'm looking at it from like the definition of value, the Atlanta Falcons are absolutely crap without Jamal Anderson. I mean, he was basically the locomotive for that entire offense. The way they ran the play action, just the way that entire offense just bounced off of the way he ran the football and how it translated into their play action game. Jamal Anderson was it because you saw the impact in '99 after he tore his first ACL. You saw that offense went into complete crap without him because they had no action pass, they had no play action pass because they had no threat of a running game. Jamal Anderson literally, 1,846 yards, double-digit touchdowns. What killed him was the 400 plus carries. But that's what killed him.
The hell out of Jamal Anderson.
But
I mean, well, if you want to be fair, him and Terrell Davis basically went through the same thing because Terrell Davis was pretty much cooked after them 2 Super Bowls. And they was running backs to death during that time. I mean,
they really were.
Damn carries.
They really were.
There's a lot of damn carries.
Yes.
Hey, Champ, I'm not disagreeing with you here. See, the thing about during that time, you had not also him, you had Eddie George that got ran to death. You got whatchamacallit that got ran to death. You got
Jerome Bettis literally got ran to death.
Jerome Bettis got ran to death.
Jerome Bettis got ran to death, and he lasted longer and wound up winning the championship with the Steelers. So, yeah. I mean, it was a lot. That was the last of the great back era, if you want to say.
And Jerome Bettis still has, in my opinion, one of the greatest stat lines in the history of football. He had one game, 3 carries, 1 yard, 3 touchdowns.
Oh yeah. I remember that.
Hey, before we go off the air right about now, because we finna end it on that note, DRF. Can you imagine if Jamal Anderson would have lasted until Vic got there?
Bro, if Jamal, I'm telling you, I'm gonna be honest with you. If Jamal Anderson stayed healthy up until Vic got there, and he got like a few years with Vic,
it would have been ugly.
It'd have been something. I agree. It would have been something serious. My only takeaway, my only con with that, what the front office never really did for Vic until later, if they had went out and got him a true threat at wide receiver, because Vic's biggest thing was he didn't care enough to read the playbook, to read the offense. He just went off a God-given talent every Sunday, and that was his biggest detriment. Because you saw when he got to Philly, when he finally put effort into the playbook. Look at 2010. Look at what he became that 1 year when he put his full focus in a position. You saw him hit his ceiling, in my opinion. But I agree with you. I feel like the biggest thing still was they never gave him a legit threat. Because Peerless Price, we're not going to talk about him anymore.
No.
We're not going to talk about him. He came off of that one hit wonder year in Buffalo, and we signed. I'm telling you, they signed him, and you talking about Falcons fans? I'm talking about we were excited. It was like, oh my God, we finally got somebody,
bro. Before I end the show, man, look, I'm gonna tell you this. When they traded for Peerless Price, I told everybody and their mama that dude is a second receiver. The only reason why he was shining in Buffalo is because he had Eric Moles on the other side of him, and then Jake Reed was his third receiver. When he came down there, and the thing was, the only thing he had going for him was speed. He really wasn't a good route runner.
So he was a return man.
Which honestly, I did not mind because. I mean, you already had like a run. You had like the running game there. You had Ward. You had TJ. You kind of already had the running. You had the running game there. The play action would have been perfect because Peerless Price. All he got to do is be competent. Just be a competent receiver. Take the top off the defense. You're not gonna Vic can't outthrow you. I mean, you're not gonna overshoot him. Peerless Price is a demon speed wise, so you can't overthrow him. But it was just like
I got one question for y'all since y'all rep the Falcons. All right, start, bench, or cut. Jamal Anderson, Devontae Freeman, or Michael Turner.
Champ, you go first.
Michael Turner, Jamal Anderson, Dan Freeman.
Okay, you're cutting Devontae Freeman.
Yeah,
you cut.
I didn't like his running style. And
I love this running style. Okay.
Those two guys, look, when you think about carrying the load, look at what Michael Turner did his first few years in Atlanta.
I agree.
He was a catalyst for how Matt Ryan and how he could develop it because he took a hell of a lot of pressure off of him.
I agree.
Absolutely.
I agree.
They call him the burner Turner for a reason. When you think about impact, Jamal Anderson.
Right.
When you think about the minute after the minute after Kyle Shanahan got the hell on, that's when Freeman.
You feel like Bijan is better than Devontae?
Yes.
He's Devontae with a higher ceiling.
Yeah.
He's got the same. He's got the same skill set, but his ceiling is way higher than Devontae's.
Yeah.
But. Here's my thing though. The reason, I agree about the starting. I'm starting Michael Turner.
Right.
I'm benching, but because of the all-around game that Devontae Freeman still brought with him, whether Kyle Shanahan was there or not, I'm benching him and I'm cutting Jamal.
I'm definitely clipping this shit.
I don't care. As great as the reason why I like Devontae Freeman.
Y'all have some great running backs, bro. Like over down there, man.
But see, but here's the thing though. Here's my thing though. What people sleep on Devontae Freeman about is his two-way game. It was his ability to run, but the fact that he was a running back can actually run receiver routes, had good hands to catch the ball. That's why I'm benching Devontae Freeman, because he gives you more to an offense, not just passing, but catching, not just rushing, but catching the ball as well. As great as Jamal Anderson was, he was just a runner. He was a power back, but he was just a runner. Devontae could get you 1,300 yards rushing, but could also get you 600, 700, 800 yards receiving. He was a legitimate thousand threat. That's why I'm benching Devontae. That's why I'm benching Devontae and I'm cutting Jamal. It has nothing to do with I have nothing. It has nothing to do with his talent, but it's what he brought to the table from a full offensive game.
Champ, you fighting that?
You know what, man? On that note, it's time for me to end the show. We're gonna talk more about this.
but he can't. He can try to get away, but he can't.
Devontae
he can try to get away, but he can't dispute the points. He can't dispute the points.
We're gonna talk more about this a little bit later.
Champ, there's no way you fighting that.
You know what, man? You know what? I'm clipping that. This is gonna go an all-time clip. I want to see what they gonna say about this.
Let them, and hey, this is what I say. You clip it, you put it on TikTok, you can put it on IG. I dare somebody to come at me like I'm crazy. I get them every time. They're not talking me off that ledge. They're not doing it. They're not doing it.
I'm not.
You mean to tell me? Wait a minute, Leaf. Wait. Out of Jamal Anderson, Michael Turner, and Devontae Freeman, you starting Michael Turner, which I get.
Yeah. Yes.
And you are benching
I'm benching Devontae Freeman. Yes.
Jamal Anderson?
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Goodness gracious.
Now, in terms of all around football player, I get what he's saying.
That's
in terms of running back, I get what you're
saying. Pure running the ball, absolutely not. I'm taking Jamal Anderson over Devontae Freeman. Pure running the ball. But Devontae Freeman, the way he translated to the way the game was played, like when the Falcons went to the Super Bowl in 2016 and all of that, it's just that his all-around game is why I really like Devontae Freeman, and why people need to, yes, exactly, which is why people need to stop sleeping on Devontae Freeman.
Wait, hold up, give it a rest, champ. You're not fighting that. Give it a rest, champ. You're not fighting.
I'm not fighting no more. I'm gonna let the people decide on that one, man. On that note, man, we're gonna talk more about this. That's gonna be a segment on next week's show right here, man. We're gonna set the tone with that one.
I'm telling you, I wanted Devontae on my team. I ain't gonna lie. Now, listen, our running back history is not that great. It's damn sure ain't the greatest y'all.
Well, no, y'all. We started off with William Andrews, but no, wait a minute. You had Ryan Grant. He was good.
Ryan Grant, Amon Green,
Edgar Bennett. You had Thompson.
Green Bay, Dorsey Levens. Green Bay's got a good history of running backs. Y'all got a good history of running backs.
Amon Green, the fumbling machine.
He had 100 damn yards. What more do you want?
Yeah, like don't like. I will. No offense.
We gonna have some more discussions about this, man. You know what?
I mean, our running back history to y'all running back history. I gave y'all 4 running backs that like literally blew the roof off of like the water.
Y'all had Edgar Bennett. You had Thompson, Dorsey Levens, Armand Green. Then you had as much as
Ryan Grant.
You know, what's
we had whatchamacallit? We had
Sam Gatto. Sam Gatto, he had a few good years.
We had whatchamacallit this past year.
I mean, you've had Aaron Jones. You've had Aaron Jones the past few years.
Aaron Jones. Hey, Aaron Jones 3 years ago was like a borderline MVP candidate. Like everybody,
he was.
Yeah, so like
he was.
Like if you look at the Green Bay, hell, in the 70s we had John Brockington. Like let's go through like
then Charlie Taylor, Paul Horny.
You going way back. That's
Jim Taylor, Tony Canadino.
I remember Edgar Bennett. I remember Dorsey Levens. I remember Amon Green. I remember Ryan Grant. I remember obviously Aaron Jones. I remember we had Ty Montgomery taking the snaps.
Yeah.
I remember we had Montgomery running the ball, and he was technically a wideout.
Yeah. But you know what, man? On that note, man, I'm gonna give everybody a preview of the next week's show. Richest quarterback team in NFL history coming next week.
Ooh.
Richest quarterback team in NFL history. You can rest assured that the San Diego Chargers will be a part of that. But on that note, I will end this show. Shout out to Columbus, Georgia. Shout out to Madison. Shout out to Brooklyn. And Flash, shout out to your hometown as well, out there in Wisconsin. We will end the show on that note. We are out. We will see you next week. And we will holler.
Yes. Yes.